Kanye West is known for saying some wild things, but this time, he wasn't lying. During a rant, Kanye claimed that Playboi Carti showed up at his hotel with a gun.
This told me he was at the chateau with a gun. What that mean?
At first, fans thought he was exaggerating, until a footage surfaced from what many believe was that same day, seemingly proving Kanye right.
Guns, knives, bombs, grenades, anything like that inside the vehicle any you know about?
I have a gun that's in my name.
Where's it at?
It's in the car, but it's good.
It's where?
It's in the car.
Where is it at in the car?
Now, with Carti already facing serious assault charges, this footage could be the breaking point that brings everything crashing down. Let's break it all down. The explosive claim that shook the culture to its core. On April 25th, 2025, Ye decided to hop on Twitch for the first time, streaming under the username at Yeezy_stream. What should have been a standard streaming session for the new platform user turned into absolute chaos when, among all kinds of wild statements, Ye dropped a bombshell about King Vamp himself, Playboi Carti. During this live stream, which got shut down faster than a block party when the cops show up, we're talking about 10 minutes before Twitch pulled the plug for violating community guidelines. Ye claimed that Carti had previously called him and said he was posted up at the Chateau Marmont Hotel with a blicky. The implication was clear to everyone watching, and everyone who saw the clips later. Carti was allegedly threatening Ye with the potential for violence. Here's exactly what Ye said during the stream.
This told me he was at the chateau with a gun. What that mean? And then say he don't be on the internet. It's like, if you don't be on the internet, what we talking about then? And I ain't say nothing then. My whole thing with Carti is I love him, and it hurts me, but it ain't no more hugs, Bernard Arnault. It ain't no more hugs, Epstein, and no more hugs, Bob Iger.
The accusation came during a broader rant where Ye was on demon time, calling out multiple industry figures and dropping statements that were so controversial they got his account terminated with the quickness. According to the word from Fortune and NDTV, Ye's account got banned after just 7 minutes for violations, including anti-Semitic comments and reportedly throwing up a Nazi salute. The culture vultures swooped in immediately, with all the major hip-hop blogs and news sites covering the story like it was the rap version of breaking news. The source dropped a full article quoting Ye's claims and noting how Carti was keeping it silent. Meanwhile, Hip Hop DX ran their coverage connecting it to the ongoing tension between the two artists following Carti's music album drop in March 2025. Within a matter of hours, the story was everywhere on the timeline, with big hip-hop accounts like at Daily Loud posting about it and racking up engagement numbers that would make your favorite influencer jealous. On April 25th, 2025, at Daily Loud posted the story, and the comment section turned into a battleground with fans from both sides going at it over who was capping and who was keeping it a buck. What's mad interesting about this whole situation is that Playboi Carti, who's already known for moving mysterious and rarely speaking publicly, has kept completely silent on these allegations. As of April 29th, 2025, he hasn't dropped a single tweet, IG post, or statement addressing Ye's claims. This radio silence has only made the streets talk more, with some fans saying his silence speaks volumes, while others argue that real ones don't even dignify wild accusations with a response. The fact that no one can confirm if this incident actually went down is what makes this situation even spicier. There are no police reports on file, no statements from the bougie Chateau Marmont hotel staff, and no witnesses coming forward saying they saw Carti posted up in the lobby with the piece. It's basically Ye's word against, well, Carti's silence. When we consider Ye's track record of controversial statements and the fact that his Twitch stream got banned for other wild content, many people are side-eyeing this claim with serious skepticism. But at the same time, Carti's decision not to immediately shut down such a serious allegation has kept this story alive and popping in the culture, creating a vacuum where rumors and theories are running wild. To really get why this beef has reached such levels of toxicity, we've got to look back at how these two artists went from making bangers together to this level of hostility. This ain't just about one incident, it's about a relationship that went from collaborative to combustible. The brotherhood between Kanye West and Playboi Carti started heating up around 2017, initially in the fashion world before they linked up musically. Their connection began when Carti started modeling for Ye's Yeezy brand. In a Vogue interview from back then, Carti showed love, calling Ye a fashion inspiration, making it clear he had mad respect for Ye's creative vision. Their fashion collab eventually leveled up to the studio, with Ye executive producing Carti's 2020 album Whole Lotta Red, which dropped on Christmas Day that year. The project featured their first major track together, Go To The Moon, and marked a huge W in both artists' careers. Whole Lotta Red debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, proving Carti had officially arrived in the mainstream with Ye's co-sign. In a 2021 interview with Interview magazine, Carti kept it real about his admiration for Ye, saying, "Kanye is the OG. He opened my eyes to some *T. When I got around him, I realized why I love him so much." This showed how Carti viewed Ye not just as a collaborator, but as a mentor who was putting him on game. The two continued cooking up heat in 2021, with Carti appearing on multiple tracks from Ye's Donda album, including fan favorites Off the Grid and Junior, both of which had the streets on fire and did numbers commercially. In 2022, Carti jumped on Mr. Miyagi from Ye's Donda 2 Inches project, further cementing their musical chemistry. The peak of their collab success came in 2024 with the release of Carnival from Ye's Vulture's 1 Inch album, created as part of his joint project with Ty Dolla $ign. The banger, which featured Carti alongside Rich the Kid and others, hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 on March 11, 2024, giving Ye his first chart topper in 13 years. According to The Independent, the track went double platinum, showing how these two could create straight hits when they linked up. During this era, these two seemed tighter than skinny jeans in 2012. In a 2022 XXL magazine interview, Carti referred to Ye as his big brother and friend, saying they were on the phone daily and that he saw himself in Ye, believing Ye felt the same way. Their bond seemed to go beyond just industry connections. It seemed like genuine brotherhood. But the situation started getting sticky in early 2025 with the drop of Carti's long-awaited album Music on March 14th. Despite their previous collabs being straight fire, Ye was noticeably missing as a featured artist on the album, only getting a co-production credit on the track Back to 00R, which had Kendrick Lamar and Jane Aiko on it instead. This limited involvement was a major switch-up from their previous pattern of mutual support, making fans wonder what was really good between them. In some posts on X that he later deleted, Ye claimed that Jewish business forced Carti to not put me on the album, suggesting that industry politics, not Carti himself, was behind his limited role. These statements, reported by Hip Hop DX, showed Ye believed external forces were manipulating the situation rather than it being Carti's choice. The tension between these former collaborators escalated dramatically after Music dropped, particularly around an incident involving Ye's daughter, Northwest. This controversy took what seemed like a creative disagreement and turned it into personal beef, eventually leading to Ye's shocking claim about Carti pulling up to his hotel strapped. The feud pops off. The timeline of events shows how quickly this situation went from 0 to 100, transforming from subtle shade to serious allegations in just a matter of weeks. Let's track how this whole situation evolved from slight tension to Ye claiming Carti pulled up with the blicky. As we mentioned earlier, the first signs of trouble started brewing with the release of Carti's highly anticipated album, Music, on March 14, 2025. Despite their history of going crazy in the studio together, Ye was notably missing from the featured artist list, only getting a co-production credit on the track Back to 00R, which many fans saw as a deliberate snub. According to Hip Hop DX, Ye took to X and claimed in posts he later deleted that Jewish business forced Carti to not put me on the album, suggesting that industry executives rather than Carti himself were behind his limited involvement. Word on the street was that the two had been cooking up a joint album, but Ye indicated that project got scrapped because of these alleged external pressures. But what really took this situation from simmer to boil happened just days after Music dropped, and it involved Ye's ex-wife Kim Kardashian and their daughter Northwest. On March 17, 2025, Kim posted an Instagram story featuring a lyric from Carti's track Fine *T that mentioned her shapewear brand. "I bought that hoe a lot of clothes, but she loved her Skims." The post seemed like a standard celebrity acknowledgement of getting a shout out in a hot song. In response to Kim's post, Carti made a move that would change everything. He posted his own Instagram story tagging Kim and writing, "Tell me niece North send me a song," showing interest in collaborating with 11-year-old Northwest, who had already been dipping her toes into music. Carti calling North his niece seemed like a term of endearment given his previous close relationship with the West family. Kim added fuel to the fire by reposting Carti's message on her own Instagram story, seemingly co-signing the idea of a potential collab between her daughter and the Magnolia rapper. This exchange happened fully in public view, setting the stage for Ye's explosive reaction. On March 18, 2025, Ye went full scorched earth on X, dropping a series of heated messages making it clear he was big mad about the situation. His main post read, "I decided North won't be doing any songs with Carti. How it looked for me to get left off the album. And then he asked Kim to have vocals from my daughter. I don't give a about none of this industry and how it's a Skims line in the first place, and I don't give a what no comments. The man has the first and final say over his kids. This fiery response highlighted several things that had heated. 1. He felt disrespected that Carti kept him off music as a featured artist, but then had the audacity to try to work with his daughter. 2. He was pissed that Carti went around him and approached Kim directly about North's involvement. 3. He was asserting his authority as North's father, making it clear he had the final say on her musical collaborations. But wasn't done there. He decided to escalate by dragging Iggy Azalea, Carti's baby mama, and the mother of his son Onyx into the beef. He posted, "Hey Iggy Azalea, I need to get onxy vocals on my song that's my nephew O, and Ema rap about one of your businesses." This petty move was clearly designed to mirror what saw as Carti's inappropriate request about North, flipping the script by involving Carti's young son. Took it even further with another post. "I intentionally never smashed Iggy because of Carti O and Rocky, Pusha, Tyga, French O, and you get the picture," making wildly inappropriate comments about Iggy Azalea's personal life and dragging other rappers into the mess. The next day, on March 19th, 2025, Playboi Carti responded with the ultimate dismissal. He simply posted on X, "Yee STFU," which reportedly racked up over 750,000 likes. This short but effective clapback signaled Carti wasn't trying to engage in a long back and forth, instead shutting down Ye's rant with just 4 letters that resonated with many fans. Iggy Azalea also entered the conversation, responding directly to Ye's mention of her son. She posted on X, "I understand the point you want to make. I say this with kindness and as a mother. Please leave my child out of this," showing concern for keeping Onyx out of adult beef and suggesting she could expose more about Ye's past behavior if he continued involving her child. This reference by Iggy wasn't random. It had history behind it. According to Hot New Hip Hop, she had previously revealed during a live stream that she had a weird business meeting with around 2011 to 2012 at the Staples Center when she was about 20 years old. During this meeting, allegedly showed her pornography and made inappropriate comments, including admitting he had pleasured himself to her pictures and asking invasive questions about her boyfriend. Had reportedly acknowledged this account in a now deleted X post, simply stating, "This is true." The beef continued to simmer when returned to X on March 30th, 2025, claiming North had told him, if he has a problem with Carti, she also has a problem with Carti, trying to show his daughter was riding with him in this conflict. He also warned other artists against trying to work with his children without going through him first. All this drama was playing out against the backdrop of Ye's ongoing custody battle with Kim Kardashian. According to TMZ, Kim was considering pushing for full custody of their 4 children due to Ye's controversial behavior, including releasing a song featuring North without her permission. On April 22nd, 2025, took to social media claiming he hadn't seen his son Saint this year, accusing people of watching silently while Kim kept his children away from him. The professional fallout was significant too. Hot New Hip Hop reported that the joint project and Carti had been working on got completely scrapped amid their deteriorating relationship. Had also publicly threatened to end Carti's career, posting on X, "I will and I am going to." It's worth noting that was going through a particularly turbulent time personally when all this was happening. On April 21st, 2025, just days before the Twitch stream where he made the gun claim, had shocked the internet by posting on X about sexual experiences with his male cousin when he was younger. This revelation, reported by the LA Times, raised serious concerns about his mental state and added another layer of complexity to his increasingly erratic public behavior during this period. All these events, the album snub, the Northwest collaboration request, the public back and forth, and the deteriorating personal and professional relationships set the stage for Ye's explosive claim during his April 25th Twitch stream that Carti had told him he was at the Chateau Marmont with a gun. This accusation represented a major escalation, taking the beef from social media shade and family drama to allegations of potential physical threats. Social media comments were especially telling, with posts from hip-hop news accounts like at Daily Loud and at Complex Music blowing up with reactions. According to reports, reactions were mixed, with some users in shock while others questioned if the claim was capped, with comments like, "We all know Carti isn't like that," suggesting many fans didn't believe Carti would actually threaten someone with a weapon. Carti's continued silence on the matter only made the streets talk more, with fans divided on what to make of his refusal to address the allegation. Some ride or dies saw it as a strategic move move to avoid giving oxygen to false claims, while others wondered if there might be some truth to Ye's story, since Carti didn't immediately shut it down. Looking at both artists' backgrounds provides some additional context. Carti has had his own legal issues, including a 2022 arrest on charges of felony aggravated assault for allegedly choking his then-pregnant girlfriend, a case that apparently remains unresolved as of 2025, according to TMZ. His public image has always been a mix of innovative musical approach and personal controversies that have divided fans. Meanwhile, Ye has been on a particularly wild ride in recent years, with his mental health struggles, controversial political takes, and personal revelations all contributing to his complex public persona. His recent behavior, including anti-Semitic remarks that cost him major bags with companies like Adidas and Gap, adds important context to how people receive his claims about others. Now we explore what this means for both artists going forward, how their past histories and reputations influence public perception of this incident, and what the potential long-term impact might be on their careers and standing in the culture. Breaking down the aftermath of the feud. First things first, let's keep it a buck about whether Ye's claim about Carti pulling up with the burner holds any water. As of April 29, 2025, there's absolutely zero evidence backing up the allegation. No police reports have surfaced, the bougie Chateau Marmont Hotel hasn't released any statements, no witnesses have come forward, and there's no video footage showing Carti lurking in the lobby strapped up. Ye's recent track record of making outlandish claims that later get walked back also has many people side-eyeing this particular allegation. According to Collider, just in April 2025 alone, Ye made inappropriate comments about Jay-Z and Beyonce's children that he later apologized for, and reportedly made false claims about Taylor Swift that supposedly led to legal threats. This pattern of wild statements followed by backtracking makes it harder for many to take his claims at face value. We also can't ignore Ye's mental health journey, which he's been relatively open about. He's previously discussed his bipolar disorder diagnosis, and in February 2025, the LA Times reported that he announced an autism diagnosis. While mental health issues don't automatically invalidate someone's statements, they do provide important context for understanding communications that happen during periods when someone might be going through it. Carti's silence on the matter is another piece of this puzzle that everyone's trying to interpret. As of late April 2025, he hasn't said a word about the gun allegation, maintaining his typically mysterious public persona. Some see this silence as damning, while others view it as on brand for an artist who's built his image partly on mystique and limited engagement with social media drama. Looking at Carti's past, there have been some concerning incidents involving conflict. In 2018, Carti was allegedly involved in a dispute with his then-girlfriend, Ruby Rose, during which he reportedly fired a gun in the air after she hit his phones. While this doesn't directly support Ye's hotel claim, it does suggest Carti has had incidents involving firearms in the past, though in very different contexts. The timing of Ye's gun allegation is sus, coming just weeks after their public fallout over Northwest. This sequence suggests the claim could be viewed as an escalation tactic in an ongoing beef rather than an isolated incident Ye suddenly remembered to share. Considering all these factors, we're left with significant uncertainty about what really went down. Without receipts and given the complex backgrounds of both artists, it's impossible to say with certainty whether Carti actually made a threat involving a gun, or if this is another example of Ye making provocative claims during a period of elevated emotions. What's undeniable is the impact this allegation has had on their relationship and public perception. This whole saga exposes a lot about how beef works in today's hip-hop landscape, particularly how social media has changed the game for artist conflicts. In the past, rap beef might have played out primarily through diss tracks, radio interviews, or industry gossip. Now everything unfolds in real time across Instagram, X, and even Twitch streams, with each platform offering different ways for artists to throw shade, make claims, and get the fans involved immediately. The public nature transforms what might have previously been handled behind closed doors into content that gets millions of eyes on it within minutes. Ye's gun allegation spread like wildfire across social media, shifting the narrative regardless of its truth value. This shows how quickly inflammatory statements can go viral and shape public opinion, even without any verification. Mental health in the context of public beef is another important consideration. Ye has been open about his bipolar disorder and autism diagnoses, which potentially influence how he communicates and perceives conflicts. Yet the public nature of modern beef offers little room for nuance or understanding of these factors. This raises serious questions about how the industry and fans respond to conflict conflicts that may be influenced by mental health challenges. Looking ahead, what might this wild situation mean for Ye and Carti's careers and relationship? Several possible paths could unfold based on what we're seeing. One possibility is continued escalation, with more accusations flying from both sides and the relationship deteriorating further. Ye's history suggests he may keep making public statements about Carti, potentially introducing new claims or grievances. Carti might eventually break his silence if the situation reaches a point where he feels compelled to defend himself, especially if serious allegations continue or start affecting his bag. Another scenario is intervention from mutual connections in the industry. The hip-hop world is smaller than people realize, with complex networks of relationships. Artists who have worked with both Ye and Carti, like Travis Scott or other industry heavyweights, could potentially step in to squash the beef or facilitate some kind of behind-the-scenes conversation. A third possibility, though it seems unlikely in the immediate future, is eventual reconciliation. The culture has seen numerous examples of beefing artists who eventually buried the hatchet and returned to making music together. The undeniable chemistry Ye and Carti showed on tracks like Go To the Moon and Carnival might eventually outweigh the personal drama, though this would likely take significant time given the current toxicity. The commercial implications of this beef are worth considering too. While controversy often generates short-term attention and streams, sustained beef can impact collaborative opportunities and industry relationships. Both artists have devoted fan bases who might feel pressured to pick sides, potentially affecting streaming numbers and concert attendance. For Ye specifically, this gun allegation is just one of many recent controversies, including anti-Semitic statements that already cost him major business partnerships with brands like Adidas, Gap, and Balenciaga, as detailed by Forbes. The Carti allegation represents just another chapter in a long series of controversies impacting Ye's standing in the industry. For Carti, who's built his brand partly on mystery and limited public communication, the allegation challenges his carefully cultivated image. His continued silence maintains his typical approach to controversy, but a gun-related accusation is serious business that might eventually require addressing if it continues gaining traction and affecting his opportunities. Looking at where both artists currently stand in their careers provides important context for understanding this beef. Ye announced on April 29, 2025. Looking at where both artists currently stand in their careers provides important context for understanding this beef. Ye announced on April 29, 2025 that his next album would be titled Cuck, according to an X post that made the rounds in hip-hop circles. This announcement, dropping just days after the Twitch drama, shows he's still focused on his musical output despite all the personal beef and controversies. Meanwhile, Carti is riding high off the successful release of music in March 2025, which debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 with 298,000 album equivalent units in its first week, according to Billboard. The album broke records on Spotify, pulling in 134 million streams on day one. This commercial W gives Carti a position of strength from which to weather controversy, especially if he keeps playing it cool and not responding to every wild claim. To really get the full picture, we gotta look at the broader cultural dynamics at play in both artists' situations, including race, industry power moves, and how the media frames all this. During his controversial Twitch stream, Ye dropped some comments about racial and cultural dynamics, saying,
White people use us against each other. You let these Jews use us against each other. I put you on.
While his comments contained problematic anti-Semitic elements, he was gesturing toward a belief that his beef with Carti was being manipulated or exploited by industry players behind the scenes. This perspective lines up with Ye's earlier claims that Jewish business forced Carti to not put me on the album, suggesting he sees their conflict as being engineered by external industry forces rather than just a personal issue between two artists. He's framing both himself and Carti as potential pawns in a bigger game run by industry execs. It's important to note that Ye's recent controversies have frequently included anti-Semitic statements, including his praise of Hitler during a December 2022 appearance on Alex Jones's InfoWars show, as reported by NPR. These comments have been universally condemned and have significantly damaged his business relationships and public image. The anti-Semitic elements in his characterization of the beef with Carti continue this disturbing pattern and complicate how people receive his claims. The gun allegation itself hits different in the context of hip-hop culture, where firearms have complex symbolic and real-world significance. Both artists reference guns in their lyrics frequently, frequently, reflecting broader patterns in trap music. But when Ye moves this imagery from lyrics to claims about actual threats, it shifts the conversation from artistic expression to potentially serious criminal allegations, which carries different implications for artists whose brands partly rely on authenticity. Media coverage of the incident has been extensive but mostly inconclusive due to the lack of verification. Reports from outlets like The Source, Hip Hop DX, and All Hip Hop mainly recount Ye's claim without making definitive judgments about whether it's facts or cap, highlighting the challenges of reporting on unverified allegations between high-profile artists. The fan bases for both artists have predictably divided along stan lines. Carti's supporters generally dismiss the allegation as just another example of Ye being Ye with his provocative and potentially unreliable statements. Ye's defenders point to Carti's silence as suspicious, arguing that if the claim was completely false, he would have immediately denied such a serious accusation. As this drama continues to unfold, several major questions remain unanswered. 1. Will Carti eventually break his silence and address Ye's claim directly? 2. Will any actual evidence drop to either back up or shut down the allegation? 3. How will this beef affect future collabs between these two and their respective networks? 4. What impact might this have on Carti's current run with music and Ye's upcoming Cut project? 5. Could legal action come into play if these types of allegations keep circulating? The answers to these questions will likely emerge in the coming weeks, potentially changing the whole narrative around this situation. As with most hip-hop drama, the story could evolve quickly if new info, statements, or incidents come to light. As this story continues to develop, it's a reminder that beneath the entertainment value of celebrity beef lie real human relationships and serious allegations with potential consequences for everyone involved. The truth of what actually went down between these two influential artists may never be fully known to the public, but the impact of these allegations on their careers, relationship, and standing in the culture will likely be felt for a minute. If you enjoyed this video, check out our other awesome videos on the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.